Hear your favorite NFL legends sharing their stories and insights every week right here on Thursday Night Tailgate with Chris Mascaro and Bob Lazari. Take it away, guys.
There's no way out.
And now back with us here on Thursday Night Tailgate is former Patriots Pro Bowl running back Tony Collins. Hey, Tony, how are you tonight?
Tony?
Doing fantastic. How you doing, Chris and Bob?
Very good. Thank you, Tony. So, Tony, Bob and I were talking about this at the top of the show. Wanted to get your thoughts. You know, Tom Brady was asked recently about how he feels. Is he appreciated by Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft? And he pleaded the fifth. So, you know, wanted to get your thoughts, right? You know, Brady hasn't shown up for any voluntary workouts, which isn't that big of a deal. He usually shows up, but he's not been there. But, you know, that's why it's called voluntary. But, Tony, can you foresee a scenario where Tom Brady ends up like Joe Montana and finishing his last couple of years someplace else?
I do not see that. I don't see that at all, because of what he's done for the organization. Now, mind you, I would have thought the same thing for Joe Montana in San Francisco too. But again, it's a business. But I think as long as Belichick is there, I'm not worried about Brady going and playing for somebody else. I really can't see that, and I don't doubt that the Patriots don't appreciate what Brady has done for them, for the organization, because of what he's done. I mean, it's just unbelievable. The guy is going to be 41 years old this year, and last year he played out of his mind. I thought he was an MVP candidate, no doubt, but I just don't see him going anywhere, playing anywhere for anyone else because of who he is and what he's done for that organization. I really don't see it. But again, I could be wrong. I thought the same thing for Montana, and that's when I understood how the NFL is a business, and that's what it boils down to. But loyalty. It should stand up in a way for Tom Brady because of what he's done. And when I keep saying for what he's done, and I say that because what he's done with what he had to deal with as far as, he didn't have any superstar receivers, except maybe Randy Moss or something like that. He didn't have nobody that can go get it, like a lot of other receivers, like, Montana had Rice, for years, and Brady only had I think Moss for maybe 2 years. So for what he's done for the organization, man, I'm pretty sure he's not going to be playing for anybody else no time soon.
And Tony, we've all learned that we should never question Bill Belichick and his madness. But I'm going to do it briefly anyway, and because I read this week that one of their priority undrafted free agent signees was a running back, Ralph Webb, out of Vanderbilt. And they gave him $70,000 guaranteed as a signing bonus. And I know that's not much money with respect to NFL signing bonuses. It's a lot of money to the rest of us. But, it proves that they have genuine interest, right? They wouldn't give a guy a guaranteed $17,000 bonus if there wasn't some level of interest. But when you spent a first-round draft pick on Sony Michel, you signed Jeremy Hill as a free agent, and you still have Brandon Bolden, Rex Burkhead, Mike Gillislee, James White, and James Devlin. That's eight. That's 8 running backs, on their roster, sort of like hoarders buried alive in running backs. Does that seem like a high number of running backs going into training camp, or did you see that when you were playing that they would have that many running backs come in?
They may start off with 8, but they won't finish training camp with 8. There's no way they're only finish training camp with maybe 4. So there's going to be 4 guys that's not going to be on the pages once the season starts. So that's how it's going to be, and that's why I was kind of not upset, but kind of baffled about why they drafted a running back in the first round. I mean, they got a bunch of running backs already. I know Sonny is probably going to be great. I think he's a great running back, but I don't think it was a need for us right now. That's just my opinion. But believe me, there will not be 8 running backs starting the regular season for the Patriots. There's going to be 4 guys either out of a job or on another team once September hits it.
Bob, questions for Tony?
Tony, at the beginning of the show, Chris and I were talking about the Mark Ingram suspension, the PEDs for 4 games, and the Saints, between him and Kamara, Tony, was such an incredible two-headed monster, and that's probably one of the reasons why their offense is so good, because one guy doesn't have to do all of the dirty work. Tony, and you know that position these days, unless your name is Le'Veon Bell, I mean, guys can't carry the ball 300 times anymore. So I think that's what makes the suspension hurt more for them. I'm not saying Kamara is going to be able to pick up the slack of that, but it's just that they have to kind of throw a wrench into their plans a little bit. But talk more about the running back load, Tony. I don't know how many more seasons that Le'Veon Bell can carry the ball 320 times either.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna take a toll on him, man. He's still young, but 2 or 3 more years and he's carrying the ball that way. It's gonna be tough on him, no doubt. And talking about Ingram, unfortunately it's a big mistake that he made. And I think when you're taking stuff that you really don't know, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure now, even in college, they tell the kids, don't take anything unless you check with us. And I know in the league they're saying the same thing to the kids, to the guys. Don't take anything unless you check with us. So make sure it's not gonna get you suspended. And it's a big mistake that he made to do something like that, because that 1-2 combination they had, man, was brutal, man. It was tough on defenses because you got Ingram pounding and you got Kamara coming in and doing his thing, and so it's going to set him back a little bit. There's no doubt about it. And I just think it's a big mistake what Ingram made, and it's going to hurt the team for 4 games. But when you talk about Le'Veon Bell, unless he's superhuman. And carrying the ball that much, man, I can imagine it. It reminds me of Earl Campbell when I played with him a few years, and seeing the beating that he took, and he was carrying the ball 20, 30 times a game, every game, and that it takes a toll on him, man. Because I seen Earl a few years ago, man, and he's not in good shape, and because of the pounding that he took. So hopefully, Pittsburgh will get a combination where Le'Veon Bell doesn't have to carry the ball 300 times in a season, because you see it now. Most teams have that 1-2 combination where they don't have a back that's carrying the ball 30 times a game, because they have a combination. They understand that two backs are better than one, and that's what the league is using now. Back when I was playing, we kind of stuck with the one back guy and carrying the ball, 20 times a game or whatever. But now with the pounding that these guys are taking and the hits that they're taking, it will take a toll on Le'Veon Bell. And I think Le'Veon, hands down, is probably the best running back in the league. I feel that way because of what he does for Pittsburgh. But again, the toll that he's going to be taking, man, it's going to wear him down, no question about it.
And Tony, I think in the past you and I have talked about supplements in general. I mean, back in your day, you did a lot of weightlifting, yes, but you didn't have a lot of the stuff that these guys have now, the personal trainers and the doctors and like you said, the supplements. It's hard to keep track of what's in these things. Again, these guys are still responsible for what goes in their bodies, but you told us in the past that you like the occasional cheeseburger. You just didn't have to worry about it back then. But if you had the chance, Tony, I mean, supplement-wise, I'm sure there was stuff, I mean, the protein drinks, etc. I'm sure you dabbled in a lot of that stuff, but again, the choices now, it's pretty overwhelming.
Yeah, it's so many things that are out there that can help you, and the training that they have, what we did to kind of get our bodies back together, we sat in the ice tub. That's what we did. And so now they have this ice machine, this cold machine that the guys get in. They got all kinds of things that these guys are doing now to help their body for what we call the comeback, and get their body ready for the next week. And there's so many things that they're doing, and the training and the eating right. I mean, we never thought about eating right. What's eating right? Give me a hamburger. That's what I need. And so it's so at a different level now than it was when I was playing. But again, you got to understand the rules of the game, and you can't take these performance enhancing drugs that it's going to get you suspended. And like I said, it was a mistake. I mean, I hope it was a mistake. I hope he didn't try to take it and try to get away with it, because that's definitely kind of crazy. But understanding the rules and regulations that they have now, you just got to be careful of what you put in your body, because it could get you suspended. And so, unfortunately for Mark, it's going to set them back for 4 games.
Tony, I want to go back to talking about Sony Michel for just a moment. Looking at him being a second-round draft pick, you were a second-round draft pick. If you had an opportunity to, take him aside, give him some advice, what are some of the things that you'd share with him?
I would definitely talk to him about, as a rookie, man, and especially with all the running backs that they have right now. One of the things that I did, man, and when I got to New England, I was a third string. I was marked as a third string running back. They drafted me to return kicks, but I was the first one on the field, last one off the field, first one in the weight room, last one out of the weight room, and that's something that I worked hard to prepare myself for the opportunity, and that's what he's going to have to do. He's got to prepare himself for the opportunity. Mind you, he might be the best running back that they have on the team right now, but again, they got veterans running backs, and Jeremy Hill is no slouch. I think, Jeremy Hill is a good running back. He's a veteran running back. He's been in the league for a minute, and so the depth chart, I don't think they're going to have Sonny above him. I don't think, but one of the things that he has to do is just learn the playbook, get in the playbook, study the playbook. When you're in training camp, there's no time to be going. A lot of the veterans, they already know the playbook. So when at training camp, at nighttime they go out and have a beer or whatever. What I did, I was at my dorm in my dorm room learning the playbook. So learning that playbook and understanding that as a rookie, you can't make any mistakes in training camp, because if you make mistakes in training, especially with Belichick, if you make mistakes in training camp, now the coach can't trust you. So one of the key things now is preparing yourself for the opportunity and getting in that playbook and understanding that playbook, so you don't make any mental mistakes on the field. You drop a pass, you drop a pass, but going the wrong direction, not knowing who to block. Those are things that Belichick is not going to put up with, and that's something that he needs to understand. And understand that system that Belichick has is not making any mistakes, especially as a running back. You're in a position where you can cause you cause a fumble, or you go the wrong way, you miss a block and get Brady hurt. That's a problem. So getting in that playbook, man, and learning and work hard and be the first one on the field, be the last one off.
Tony, your last season in the league was down in Miami with the Dolphins. Was it weird putting on a Dolphins uniform after being a division rival with them for so many years?
It was very weird. It really was. But it was an honor, playing for Don Shula and catching passes from Marino. That was pretty cool. I got the chance to play with Duper and the Duper guy, and I can't think of what's the other guy.
Mark Clayton.
Mark Clayton. It was pretty cool, but it was weird, especially when we played the Patriots, and we played them in New England the first game of the season when I was there. So that was really weird, coming back home and with a Miami Dolphin jersey on, and so, but you do what you got to do, and it was good coming back home and seeing the guys and everything like that, but it was definitely weird putting on that Miami jersey coming back home to New England.
And Tony, Don Shula took a chance on you, right? That was sort of after you had your off-the-field issues. What did it mean to you to have someone like Shula take that chance?
Oh man, like I said, it was an honor to play for him. It was totally an honor to play for Shula, for him to give me a chance to come on the team. You know, they had Sammy Smith as their starting running back then, and you know, like I said, man, it was, you know, I thought Detroit Lions were going to give me a chance, and you know, I went there, worked out for them, and they passed on me and worked out for the Dolphins, and they called me in and said they were going to give me a shot. So it was totally an honor to play for Shula. You know, when you're a Patriot, you really don't like Don Shula, but when he gave me that second chance to come and play for the Dolphins, man, it was totally an honor to play for him. And he's a great coach. He, you know, being there for that year, you know, understanding what he is and who he was and all the Super Bowls he's won, it was totally an honor to play for him.
Bob, more for Tony?
And Tony, you've always lauded the efforts, and you've loved Raymond Barry in the past. You've told us what he meant to you and things like that. And I was just wondering how much, when he took over, Tony, did he have a lot of input into the offense? Did he leave it a lot to the offensive coordinator, or was he like an invisible coordinator? Tell us his role in that offense.
He was an invisible coordinator. And when I mean by invisible, you know, we had the offense. I can't even think about who our offense coordinator was. I can't remember the guy's name. But you know, when we would be in practice and we would run different plays and have our system, because you know, preparing for a game, you have a sheet that you run that this is going to be our first 7 plays of the game, first 8 plays of the game, and you have that, and you know, sometimes, you know, Raymond will change it. You know, seeing what the offense is, what the defense is doing, you know, he would change it up. We would call the play, and he send the play in, and he would change the play. Because you know, he had his headphones on and understanding what the play was, and you know, a lot of coaches, and I think they're still doing it now. They put it all on the offensive coordinator, and I think that's the same thing that happened with Seattle when they played us in the Super Bowl. You know, the offensive coordinator called the play, and you know, Pete Carroll knew what the play was, and you know, if Raymond was coaching at that particular moment, Raymond would have changed that play. He would have changed that play from a pass to a run, and so he was like an invisible coordinator. But the thing about Coach Barry was, you know, he was that quiet type of guy. I've never heard him yell yet, and so he was that type of guy where he got respect because of who he was and what he did on the field. And, you know, everybody knew who he was. Everybody knew what he did. Everybody knew he's a Hall of Famer. And when he came in and played for and coached us that one year, he turned the whole thing around. We went to the Super Bowl. And it wasn't that we got a whole bunch of great draft choices. You know, I think we got Urban Fryer that year and a couple other guys, but wasn't nothing spectacular. But he changed the system around because Coach Barry is a player's coach. You wanted to play for him. And there was 2 coaches that I played for that I would run through a wall for, and that was Pat Dye and Raymond Barry.
And Tony, I always like to bring up some of your former players. We've talked at length in the past about Tip Tupu and guys like Stanley Morgan, and I think you've always also mentioned this guy, but Derek Ramsey, for those couple of years, he was a very underrated tight end in the league, and did a lot of the dirty things, but very talented. The guy, Tony, I think one year he cost almost 70 passes, but a very consistent guy. Talk more about Derek.
Derek was, you know, he came from Oakland to us, and just his hands are you know, we used to call them gorilla hands. His hands were so big, man. But Derek was not only a great receiver, he was a great blocker too, man. A lot of people didn't know how good of a blocker that Derek was. And so Derek was just that low-level guy, didn't say a whole lot, but he just got the job done. And when you threw the ball to him, he was going to catch it with those big hands. You know, I can't remember Derek dropping the ball. not if it hit his hands, Derek was going to catch it. And so he brought a lot for us during our run to the Super Bowl, and just a great guy, man. Super guy. I don't know. I know a few years ago he was coaching. I think somewhere in Virginia or something like that. But just not coaching. He was the athletic director at some school, some small school. I can't think of the name of it right now. But just a great guy, a great teammate, and still a great friend. We haven't talked in a few years, but Derek is one of those guys that you can hang out with, have a good time, but he was a professional on the field, on and off the field.
Tony, one more before we let you go. And you mentioned a moment ago teaming up with Sammy Smith down in Miami. And Sammy is another guy who had some off-the-field issues. Could you tell Sammy was struggling or had some other things going on? Did you guys ever talk about that sort of thing?
I did not. I did not know. We really didn't hang out a lot. My time down in Miami, I was kind of on my own and really didn't. Like I said, it was kind of weird playing for the Dolphins, but it was a gig that I still wanted to play, but I really didn't know what he was going through or what he was into, at that particular time, and so unfortunately he got in a little trouble. And Sammy was a good running back too, man. He was a big back that could flat out run, flat out get it once he gets in the open field. And so I really didn't know what he was going through at that time when I was there.
Tony, before we let you go, remind our listeners about all the great things you're doing helping kids go off to college.
TonyCollinsFoundation.org. We're going on our 10-year anniversary this year. Man, I'm really looking forward to the tournament this year that we have in New York, and bringing some of the guys. We got Stanley Morgan coming in, Steve Grogan, Aaron Varus, Lonnie Lepet, Roland James, and a lot of guys from the Patriots coming in this year. And it's all about the kids, man. That's what one of our logos, our slogan is. It's for the kids, and that's why we do it. And we just want the kids to understand how much we care about them and how much we want them to achieve things in their lives, and going off to college, and not just going off to college, but being a good citizen in the great country that we live in. And so that's what our foundation is all about.
Well, Tony, you're fantastic. We can't thank you enough for your time again tonight and being a part of the show. We look forward to catching up with you again next week. In between now and then, all the best to you and your family.
Take it easy.
You guys have a blessed night, man. God bless you.
Thanks, Tony. Take care. That's former Patriots Pro Bowl running back Tony Collins. Bob and I, we will be back on the other side of these words about our friend Drew Bledsoe and Doubleback Winery.